Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hard4Games channel. I am your host, Tony, and about a month or so ago, we covered a build of Wind Waker that was on a GameCube demo disc. Turns out that build has many differences between it and the retail version of Wind Waker, even though the build dates are pretty close, like very close. So, in the previous episode, we covered the disc itself and what the demo of Wind Waker was in terms of what you could just play if you happen to have the disc. Today, we're covering the differences between the builds of the two versions of Wind Waker. Let's go ahead and dive in.
This is Hard4Games. They're Hard4Games. They become hard. They're Hard4Games.
Now, first things first, because I know I left all of you hanging last time, I asked you all to discover and figure out what the glitch was that I showcased on screen. Many of you actually got it, and it is in fact the magic meter. There's a visual bug here where the meter is over full, or at least over full looking. Here's the demo meter, here's the retail. Now back to the demo. And we tested this, and no, Link does not have more magic, it just is sort of a visual snafu. Now next up, let's do a quick repeat of the last video. This one's a really obvious one, but for anyone that missed that last video, the title screen opens up at night. Retail version opens up during the day. Now here in the Forsaken Fortress, the first time you visit, there's a bug when you retrieve your sword. The action of the enemy is not paused when Link presents the sword to the player. So he just keeps trying to attack you, and obviously he can't, but he just, for the life of him, just gives it the old college try and just keeps trying to kill you. Now in the same area, but this time when Link returns to the Forsaken Fortress, the switch for the giant door is now different. So this is the pre-release version here, and as you can see, there's an eye switch above the door that's activated by an arrow. This does not exist in the retail version. In the retail version, you activate the door with the hammer. Now, there are little differences like that scattered throughout the game, where maybe a switch is different, or like a chest is different, that kind of stuff. There's actually an example of this in the Wind Temple, where there normally is just a chest, but in the pre-release version, there's a switch that activates a chest. We couldn't get footage of this, unfortunately, but I'm going to go ahead and put a link to a video from a Twitch streamer in the description where you can watch it yourself. I think, to my knowledge, he's the one who discovered it. So sticking with the Forsaken Fortress, in this area here you can actually see through the window and back into the fortress. So basically you look through the window, you should see a wall here, but instead you see back into the fortress as if no wall exists. So it would be like if I looked through my window and instead of seeing my neighbor's house, I just saw my neighbor's kitchen like in full. As if there was no wall there. Like it was like a stage, essentially. Now, it's a little hard to see here, especially if you're not familiar with the game, you may not recognize it. But here are the wireframes to help with that, which may either help you understand what I'm trying to say or hinder it. I'm not sure. You can let me know. Now, there are other areas in the game like this, so for example, in this particular cutscene, the walls are just missing. Now, here's a glitch when the Sun Song is played. Notice the position of the King of Red Lions. After I play the song, he's teleported to the middle of the map, in the middle of the Great Sea, all by himself, to think about his sins. Next we have Jalhalla, at least I think he's pronounced Jalhalla, the Earth Temple boss. In the game, he's masked, but his trophy in the pre-release version reveals his face for the very first time. So here he is in the pre-release version, the trophy, and here is the trophy in the release version of Wind Waker. For the first time, we get to see his ugly mug. Next up, we have some differences in the sea chart. Take a look at the icon here for the Tower of the Gods. In the pre-release version, it's sort of this amorphous circular blob. In the final version of the game, it resembles almost kind of a structure or like a ring. Here we have even more unused assets. We have a very stylized west and south, likely for the compass that appears after playing the Wind's Requiem. So, for reference, here is the kanji for north, south, east, and west. And here are the unused assets. Again, it's sort of a very stylized version of the kanji. And here's what we have in-game after playing the Wind's Requiem. Here we have an image of an unused map. The file name here has the word Ruby, R-U-B-Y. So we think it may have been some sort of a rupee map that they ultimately discarded in favor of just the generalized treasure maps in the game. Here in the Tower of the Gods, we have some unused door toppers. This is the demo, and you can see the door toppers seem almost alive. They seem to have eyes. It's very imposing, like the Tower of the Gods should be. But here's what they opted for in the retail release. So again, demo, retail. Here's another texture-related difference, part of the Puppet Ganon. In the demo, the acid is much more matte. In the retail release, it has a reflective, shiny coating. So there are also a ton of little differences in rooms and areas. Sometimes these differences are just in the coding and they don't really affect how the room looks. Other times the differences is actually noticeable if you're playing it and you have a keen eye. So I'm going to go ahead and showcase some of the more noticeable differences. In the Forest Haven, a part of the island is actually missing in the pre-release version. And here's the retail. Here's a room that got some lighting improvement in the final version of the game. Here's the demo version, it's a little plain looking. Here's the retail version, it's a little bit more dynamic. There are also changes to Ganon's Tower. Here's the demo, and here's a release. It's kind of hard to tell since it's so shrunk down. This is a big area in game, but there are shadow and size differences here. So once again, side by side, demo is on the left, retail is on the right. There are also some odd minor differences when Link is getting the Master Sword. So in the demo version, as soon as you sort of enter the chamber, the King of Red Lions will talk to you. Here's actually another playthrough where our player gets a little bit further, but still the King of Red Lions chimes in. Here's the retail version. King of Red Lions, God, I'm saying that so much. The King of Red Lions talks to you when you get a lot closer to the Master Sword, like kind of when you get up on the stage that the Master Sword is on. They also change the angle when Link acquires the Master Sword. So here's the demo, here's the retail. There are a few degrees of difference here, and in the retail version it's punched in a little bit closer, which I actually prefer, seems a little bit more epic. And lastly, let's talk about Beetle. In the demo, he has a horn that sounds whenever you're close enough to hear it. Let's listen to his beautiful music. So, big thank you to everybody that was involved in this project. I truly could not have done it without you guys. We had a team organized and led by Melon Speedruns who dove into the code, played the game, and just nitpicked this thing apart. So I am forever grateful, gentlemen. Very much appreciate it. And to all of you viewers out there, if you'd like to check these people out, many of them have social media and like YouTube and Twitch channels. You can go ahead and check them out in the description below. We have links to everything. So again, thank you all. And if you happen to miss the announcement in the first video, this build has actually been released by the owner via Forest of Illusion, so you can play it for yourself if you want to. And if you do, and you notice something that we didn't showcase here today, please let us know. We would certainly be interested. Aside from that, cheers everybody. We'll see you all next time.